How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Thank you guys so much for chiming in for the latest post-game show here on WardyNYM, and it feels really good to say that, to be alive here, guys. You know, I really want to be alive for at least one of the past two games in the Mets' victory and, of course, their loss yesterday with Jacob deGrom on the hill. I'll be deep diving that series as a whole later tonight in my podcast with Anthony Recker, which will assumably be coming out early tomorrow, audio-wise, 6 a.m., and then around between, I'd imagine, 11 or 12 p.m. Eastern time, if not later, on the YouTube channel for episode 24 of Bleav in Queens. But hope everyone is having a phenomenal Sunday. I know I am, unfortunately, at the time of being live here. It does look like the Atlanta Braves are securing themselves a victory after a 2-hour rain delay, in which the Phillies did have a 6-5 lead in the bottom of the fifth, but now they're up 8-6. It's 8-7 right now. We'll see. Again, I don't expect the Phillies to come back. They're with 2 outs right now at the time being live here. No less, the Mets will stay at minimum a game and a half up in first place, and we got plenty of positives to discuss. Talk about a bounce-back win for the team in Queens, guys. This was a great victory. So more than anything, guys, if you're watching here in the live show, if you're watching on replay in the comments below, get those W's, spam them in the chat, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Send a new intro I made you on Twitter. Jacob, I'll definitely have to try to check it out, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to try to get all the intro, outro stuff figured out more so in the offseason. I know they're long overdue, and I know that I'm not, jumping out of my seat like crazy. I was during the game, but I'm a little tired now. I'm always tired on Sunday nights, and the Mets just casually scored 13 runs on the Oakland A's today. I expected them to win this ball game, as I expected them to win yesterday, too. Unfortunately, Jacob deGrom was human. One of his worst starts in a very long time. But again, I'm not going to sit here and gripe too much about Jake. I will have those hard-hitting questions a little bit further for Anthony Recker in our podcast when we record it after this live show. But let's deep dive. What was a big win for the Mets today, guys, especially when you look at Pete Alonso making team history. He was 1 RBI away from tying the Mets team record with 124. He blew right past that bad boy with not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 RBIs for Pete Alonso. 39 home runs, 128 RBIs on the season now. What a historic season Alonso has had, Francisco Lindor has had, and this entire Mets offense from the jump all the way until the very end of this ball game. They could not stop hitting baseballs and hitting them far, hitting for infield singles, hitting them for doubles, home runs. They had it all cooking today, guys, and it was a great win for our beloved team in Queens. So before we deep dive the ball game, I would also like to really thank everyone so much, everyone in the live show, people on replay, for the kind words. As you guys know, I've been under the weather, unfortunately. Today, I really started to feel better. Same thing with today. Thankfully, I'm not contagious or anything like that. I just was not feeling well for a good 24 to 48 hours, but I'm feeling better now, a little congested. I think it goes in hand with I get seasonal allergies and the weather drastically changing, getting colder here in Pennsylvania where I reside. Was not fun for the previous couple days, but I'm back to be doing these live post-game shows, and we got plenty to deep dive from this big Mets victory. You guys know the drill. We have the laundry list of topics to get into right here. We got Wardy's Top 5. We got, the one update on Starling Marte today, which is just that he's continuing to heal with his finger fracture after having the CT scan back in New York. It was posted earlier today by the New York Mets Twitter social media team, and he's looking to get inching closer to his return, which is assumably him eyeing to return against the Atlanta Braves in that final series in Atlanta this year. So that's going to be key. This Mets team, the offense has been no slouch in this series. They faced 3 southpaws as the opponent starting pitcher in each game of these series, and they hit them really, really well. I'm very proud of this Mets team. Doesn't matter who you're facing. You got to make sure that you're putting up competitive ball games, and especially when you are playing lesser opponents, I expect you to have some of these lopsided scores that we've seen teams like the Braves and other really good teams in baseball do when they're facing lesser opponents. The Mets, of course, struggle to do that from a consistent level in their first 16-game stretch in the month of September against lesser clubs, but they come out west in Oakland, and they take care of business really without a problem outside of that game too. But let's deep dive this Mets ball game. Like I said, played again too. Very happy. I mean, from Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso, Alonso leads the league in RBIs. He just doesn't have the team's single season franchise record now. He leads the league. Francisco Lindor is 3rd in baseball in RBIs. The Mets have the best 1-2 punch duo in all the game right now. It really is insane how much these guys have meant to this Mets offense. And as I've always said to you guys, when you get Alonso rolling, that is the heart of this Mets order offensively. The offense rides through Pete Alonso. So when you see Pete come out, do what he did, you know that the Mets are going to come out and win a ball game. His numbers when the Mets win ball games are ridiculously better versus when the Mets lose ball games. So he really rides the wave on winning, and you need that man consistent down the stretch, and he's swinging a hot bat at the best time possible. Not only him, Francisco Lindor, the same exact thing. Eduardo Escobar is batting like almost 340 in the month of September. This guy has been a hitting machine. Everyone and their mother has been hitting for the Mets right now, and that's exactly what they need. They need the strong pitching that we've seen, other than, surprisingly, I know, it's crazy to say, Jake not having strong pitching in game 2. Again, unfortunately, even though it's the first time in 40 starts he's allowed more than 3 earned runs, these things were going to happen at some point. And you know what? I'd rather it be against Oakland, and it was just a fluky game, and he bounces back, and hopefully we do see him bounce back. But time to get into this ball game, folks. We saw Mad Max Scherzer on the bump. His first start back that we saw since his previous start in Milwaukee, coming off the IL. Just not a problem. Pitched 6 perfect innings. I mean, no hit, literally perfect innings. The only reason why he didn't go deeper is because he was on a pitch count today. Wasn't on really a pitch count. However, he did go 6, and he went 6 strong for the New York Mets. And again, bear with me, guys. You might see me drinking a little bit of water. I still am congested a little bit, so I apologize. Hopefully, when it comes to, the breathing, the congestion, that's all like 100% good by the time we cover this series, the 2-game set against Miami, which is next for the Mets. They have the off day tomorrow, this Monday, in which I'll actually be in attendance at Madison Square Garden for a Rangers and Islanders preseason game with my co-host for my Rangers podcast, Statboy_Steven. If you guys know him on Twitter especially, check it out. Look out for your short schmuck of a boy, Ranger fan. I know we got Islanders fans going to game 2 at MSG. First time I'll be there since 2019. But enough of me getting on a tangent. Let's talk about this Mets game. Let's talk about the positives. Were there negatives? I mean, Darren Ruff definitely can make that argument to be a negative. He's been that way more often than not, unfortunately. A big positive from the series, too, is Mark Vientos, but he did not play today. At least he did not start. He pinch hit in the 9th. But with 2 outs already, guys, in the first, Murphy with a double, Brown with a walk, Garcia with a strikeout would end the inning. So Mad Max gives up a base knock. That's perfectly fine, and a walk, and he gets out of the jam without a problem. As we get to the second, everybody, Pete Alonso with a base knock. Jeff McNeil with a ground out. Eduardo Escobar with a single. Ruff flies out, one of the many times that he flew out or did not do anything when the Mets had multiple guys on. Naquin with an RBI single to start the one of 13 runs the Mets would end up scoring today, folks. I mean, 13, damn, that feels good. It's crazy. I mean, if this was a month plus ago, I feel like I would have been jumping out of my seat. But, I mean, the Mets are 3 wins away now from 100 on the year. I feel a little spoiled at this point. I really do. And I'm just enjoying this ride, making sure that they get these consistent W's. If they can't win every series, then just win as many games as you possibly can. And they're proving to do more and more of that since they got swept by the Cubs. The Mets have won every single series since then, which has been 3. They swept the Pirates. They won 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. And now they won 2 out of 3 here in Oakland. So we see their Naquin with the RBI base knock in the second. Nito with a fly would end the inning. The Mets get the early 1-0 lead, and I'm like, okay, it's 1-0. They're going to tack on a lot more. You could tell. And again, against a JP series that entered this start, was looking really, really strong since being acquired from going from the Yanks to Oakland in that Frankie Montas deal. Himself and a fellow southpaw that the Mets saw yesterday and did hit a decent mat on in Waldichuk that started game 2 of this matchup against Jacob deGrom. No less than the bottom of the second, Capel, who murdered the Mets in game 2 and did have himself a big 3-run home run before the game ended today, had himself a strikeout. Lane Lears with a double, Diaz with a strikeout, and Clement would fly out to end the inning. So Mad Max threw 2 scoreless innings. In the third, Nimmo with a walk, Lindor with a single. We see Jeff McHits, baby, with a walk. Not a hit, but he gets a walk. Also had some great defense that made up for some misplays he had with Jake yesterday. Eddie with a 2 RBI base knock. This gives the Mets a 3-0 lead through 3 innings, everybody. I mean, Eduardo Escobar, talk about a godsend. We talked about it endlessly, guys. This is someone that I have not been. Let's see. I see Braves fans coming in the chat. Oh, Yon, I'm so glad you're back. I missed you after the couple losses you had in the Phillies series. It's kind of crazy. Why wouldn't you be in the show? Why wouldn't you be in the show if the Braves lost? Why? Cue the sarcasm. What I did want to say, though, about this ball game was that Eduardo Escobar, what he has been doing all month long, I mean, to give the Mets the depth that they've had in his lineup, I've said it endlessly, and it holds true. This man has been something spectacular. And I was someone who earlier this year did not even want Eduardo Escobar one game playing time or argue to even have on the roster. I mean, he felt like he was just taking up a roster spot because he wasn't doing anything for you consistently, especially from the left side of the plate where he's gained most of his at-bats. And then two, I mean, even when he's coming off the bench, he wasn't doing anything either in that platoon role for a little bit with Yorme. But since coming off the IL, this man has truly been something different. It's crazy. And yes, I know Soroka is done for the year. That's unfortunate for Braves fans. I feel bad for Mike Soroka. I really do. He's someone that I think he's one of the better pitchers in baseball when he's healthy, but it'll be going on 3 years before he actually returns on the bump for the Braves and pitches more than a game. Yon, I love this because here's the thing. I don't care. I give a lot of tolerance to Braves fans in chats today, but I think it's just because of the fact that it's harder for me to have normal dialect in the show today because I'm still not 100%. I'm not dealing with it. Out of here. I know Braves are hurt and tired. Yes, they are. It is unfortunate for them, but I cannot wait for that series. I respect this rivalry in the sense that it will certainly come down to that final matchup that we see there. Strider will be back for postseason, hopefully for the Braves' sake. I know he's on the IL. That's unfortunate. But getting away from the Braves talk for a sec, because I'm sure we'll expand on Braves and Mets, the latest between the two before we wrap up the show. Deep diving more of this Mets ballgame, folks. And of course, make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Help us get to 100 likes and help us get to 18K subs for the next short-term goal on the channel, guys. We are right around 100 subs away on the channel from giving away this Mad Max Scherzer strikeout bobblehead counter. So make sure to check it out, guys. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe button. Once we hit 17.7K subs, I'll be giving away this bobblehead to one lucky subscriber. So hopefully that is you. Thank you guys so much in advance for the support. Love you all to death. But getting back into this ball game now, Mad Max, after we see there, in the third, the Mets would make it a 3-0 ball game. In the bottom of the third, Max Scherzer with a 1-2-3 inning, his first 1-2-3 inning, one of multiple on the day with one strikeout. In the fourth, we see there were 2 outs. Brennan Nimmo with a base knock. He would reach second base on an error, though, from the A's. A's did not have good defense at all today after catching everything and their mother in game 2 against the Mets and Jacob deGrom on the hill. Canna with an infield single. Lindor with a 2-run double. Francisco Lindor already has over 100 RBIs on the year for arguably the best shortstop in baseball. I think him and Trey Turner really are 1A, 1B right now. And yes, Francisco Lindor is better than Dansby Swanson. I know it might be hard to believe, Braves fans, but trust me, look at all the numbers. It's true. He is the better player this season. I know it's hard to fathom, but he is. He's playing up to his contract, thankfully. All 5 runs today at that point, folks, when the Mets had a 5-0 lead, were all with 2 outs, and almost all of them were with 2 strikes. I mean, the Mets, they've done an amazing job all year long being able to hit with 2 outs, especially that held true in this one as well. I mean, literally your first 5 runs, you don't get those runs in until you have 2 outs. Mets face adversity, and they've crushed it so great in counts like that this year. So the Mets get on to the 5-0 lead that we see there in the 4th inning, and that wouldn't be the only runs that the Mets would score because Pete Alonso, looking to make franchise history, he would do exactly that with a towering 2-run home run, his 39th bomb of the season. Alonso would then reach 125 RBIs, and it wouldn't be his last of this game. And the bottom of the 4th, Max Scherzer gives up a solo bomb to Seth Brown, who had a great game too against the Mets, and Jacob deGrom as well. Garcia with a flyout, Capel with a single, but a double play would end the inning. So through 4, we see the Mets are up by a total score of 5-1. In the 5th inning, guys, you see there Eduardo Escobar with a single, Darren Ruff with a walk, Naquin with a line out, Nito with a flop. I said drop. I meant to say deep fly out because that went far in the park, just did not get far enough. Nimmo with a pop out ends the inning. The Mets do not do anything there in the 5th after getting another base knock from Eddie Escobar. In the bottom of the 5th, everybody, Max Scherzer with a 1-2-3 inning. In the 6th, another 1-2-3 inning for Max Scherzer, this time with a pair of strikeouts. That'll be Max's final line on the day, folks. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts on 91 pitches for one of the best pitchers the game has to offer, and did secure his 201st win of his career tonight in this victory in Oakland. In the 7th, guys, Adam Ottavino with a 1-2-3 inning coming in relief. The first multiple relievers to come in for the Mets today after Max exited. Adam Ottavino 1-2-3 with a couple strikeouts with that beautiful frisbee slider. Adam is now down to a 2.18 ERA on the year. Max Scherzer as a starters down to 2.13. And offensively, you think, okay, the Mets, they have a sizable lead. No, they would make it a lot more sizable in the 8th inning, guys. Tomas Nido with a base knock. Nimmo with a single. Mark Canha with a single. Lindor drives in a run thanks to an error. One of multiple errors we saw from the A's later in this game. And then Alonso, opposite field, 3 RBI, bases clearing double. That would give him his 128th RBI of the year total. Looking at all the RBIs from today, 5 RBIs, 4 for 5 is Pete Alonso. That's why he's the number 1 star. He was simply freaking phenomenal. Jeff McNeil with an infield single, and then Eduardo Escobar with an RBI double play. Ground out would still get that run scored in. In the 8th, Drew Smith would have a scoreless inning, and we would see Terrence score. I don't have it in the highlights, but Terrence score came in today's game in the 8th inning. He made a beautiful diving catch there in center after playing way too deep on a ball that went shallow. Full sprint, got that bad boy in time. The former Atlanta Brave, now turned New York Met, and Terrence Gore showing those wheels once again. Might not have the offense, but he surely has a great speed on the bags and that great elite defense. So in the 9th, guys, the Mets would not be done either. They would continue to tack on at least one more. You see Tyler Naquin with a double. Tomas Nido with a double. Naquin does not score on the back-to-back doubles, however, so there's runners on 2nd and 3rd. Luis Gourmet with an RBI ground out. Mark Canha with a hit by pitch right above his foot. Mets now lead all of MLB in a regular season's history with 110 hit by pitches in a season. Daily MLB content, please stop spamming the chat. That's all I ask. Thank you so much for the support, though. Let's see here. Gourmet with an RBI ground out. Canha with the hit by pitch. Gore would reach on a drop pop-up. I don't know how Garcia bobbled this one. He was going to the ball. It was shallow, not far from the mound. Dropped it. They called it forced out at 2nd, I think, for interference. No less, the Mets wouldn't do anything else in that inning. Seth Lugo comes in the bottom of the 9th, guys, and he would give up a 3-run nuke to Capel. Again, Capel trying to make sure that Mets fans remember his name for another week. Good for him. Again, he had a great series, all jokes aside. No ill will against the guy. There's always that like one rando that you don't know, especially because I'm not following the Oakland A's every day. That being in Connor Capel, batting .343 with over 1,000 OPS. I don't know how much playing time he's had this year, though. Really, really did a great job against the Mets in this series and made Lugo pay. Lugo giving up home runs later in the game. He's done that multiple times this month. Whether that's concerning or not has yet to be seen because this was in garbage time, but just something to be keeping an eye on with Seth Lugo, who has been prone to giving up that home run ball really throughout the season. It's been something that he has struggled with. Other than being a decent reliever for the Mets when they need him to. He's been up and down for the Mets all year long, and I think is a great way to describe Seth Lugo. And that was the ball game, folks. Nothing really more that needs to be said. I mean, the Mets, they came in and they comfortably won this game. I think that's a big thing. And the biggest thing that I want to share as well, guys, is I do apologize. Hopefully, again, during the week, and then as we get to the Atlanta Braves series at the end of the week, I will definitely be more energetic and things of that nature, not just because of who the Mets play today, but again, just it's kind of crazy. I thought I would be feeling better as I started the show, and as I've continued with the show, I just feel like a lot more tired and a lot more short with my breath than I expected to be. So apologies in advance if I'm not like screaming my head off or anything of that nature. Those are factors as to why, and I just want to make sure I have a calm night. I know that this isn't the only thing I'm doing tonight, too, because I still have the podcast I'll be covering. But we see their Warriors top 5 tonight, guys. Pete Alonso, 4 for 5 with the home run, the double, the 5 RBIs, the 3 runs scored. Pete Alonso has easily been one of the best players in baseball. And the Mets don't just have an argument for one guy as MVP this year, regardless on if they win or not, but as a candidate or borderline MVP candidate. The Mets have 2, with not only what Pete Alonso has done, but also what Francisco Lindor has done this year. And that is not really an argument. It would not be surprising at all if you see Alonso and Lindor high up there in the MVP voting. Now, Paul Goldschmidt has had a phenomenal year. I don't know how much Goldie's average has dropped, if at all, since he was red hot for a good portion of the year. No less, regardless on if either Mets would win, I don't expect them to. It's great to see the Mets, again, their top 2 guys offensively, producing as advertised, no matter who they're facing. No matter when they're playing the top dogs in the league, and no matter if they're playing, again, the worst dogs in the league. Both guys are finding their swing on a consistent level at the best time possible for this Mets team that's trying to get as many wins as they can to stay afloat in first in this division lead over the Atlanta Braves of the NL East. My number 2 star is going to be Francisco Lindor, 3 for 5 with the double, the 3 RBIs, and the 3 runs scored. My number 3 star, Mad Max Scherzer, again, a really, really solid outing for him. Mad Max, again, 6 strong, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 4 hits, can't go wrong. Eduardo Escobombs, as I love to call him, 3 for 5 with the 2 RBIs today. That's my number 4 star. And my number 5 star is Tyler Naquin, 2 for 5 with a double RBI and runs scored. But looking throughout the Mets lineup as a whole, Brandon Nimmo had a really nice day in this game 3. 2 for 4 with, 3 runs scored and a walk. Let's see here. Mark Cannon, 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored. We saw Lindor, talked about him. Jeff McGill, 1 for 4. Darren Ruff, 0 for 4 with a walk and a strikeout. Darren Ruff was the lone loafer. Darren Ruff was the only Mets starter today to not record a hit. So, again, not looking great on that front. Tomas Nido, 2 for 5 with the double and a run scored because Nido is a beast. He's batting .242 this year. He might have a sub 600 OPS, but Nido has been hitting far greater than I think many expected heading into the year. And with the lack of consistent hitting the Mets have had the catching spot, this is definitely huge. Drew Smith with the scoreless inning in the 8th. Seth Lugo again gave up that bomb in the 9th, and then it is what it is. Anthony, thank you so much for the donut. I appreciate that, brother. Let's see here. I would love nothing more than to win the division in Atlanta. Let's go Mets. We got this. Am I worried about DeGrom? No, I'm not worried about DeGrom, but I'll expand on that further with the podcast tonight, as long as I can make sure I can do it, because right now, very short with my breath. I'm a little surprised. I did not think, because I did a pre-recorded video for game 1 of this series when the Mets won with Bassett on the bump, and that was fine to record, and I felt a lot worse then than I do now. So as long as we do the podcast tonight, I will definitely be talking with Rec about Jake, but personally, am I concerned? No, I'm not. I don't think Jacob deGrom should be concerned. If Jake, however, comes out when he faces, I believe, the Braves is the next time. And is that the final time? At least the next time that Jake pitches is going to be against the Atlanta Braves, if I'm not mistaken. If Jake puts up similar numbers early, look, we all know the Braves can hit, but if Jake gives up like another 5 earned runs, like all early in that game, because he's just missing spots, not because of the fact of the Braves are just hitting great, but because he's clearly missing on location, then yeah, I think we have more to be concerned about. But I think that this was just an anomaly of a start for him, and I expect him to be better. Absolutely. It's so hard to fathom. It is so hard to fathom when someone of Jacob deGrom's stature comes out and gives up 5 earned runs against the Oakland A's and gives up 4 earned runs in that first inning. I mean, it's unprecedented. Jake's like never done that in his career, at least not in a very long time. So yeah, I mean, when you haven't given up 3 or more earned runs in 40 consecutive starts, yeah, of course us Mets fans are going to be shell-shocked for the first time that happens in 40 starts. It's crazy. First and second, 0 outs, and Phillies don't bunt. What a joke. That's why you got to get the bad fundies shirt, guys. They don't know good fundies if it smacked them across the face. Not only defensively, but offensively, too. We got the bad fundies shirt. Check it out. Links down below if you guys are watching, especially on YouTube, obviously, at shop.Bleav.com. Ooh, there's a big storm coming my way. I just heard that. Damn, that's crazy. But we saw Starling Marte again at a CT scan that was positive, inching closer to his return, hopefully, for when the Mets play Atlanta. Mets going to just double check real quick. How are they looking like for their Miami series? And then after that, guys, we're probably going to wrap up the show in the next couple minutes. I don't think we're going to do a long show today. I do apologize. Just like I said, even though the Mets had a great game today, I'm having far more shortness of breath than I would like to. Or it's like I'm trying to avoid coughing on the show. So that's the biggest reason why. Let's see here. Lopez versus Carrasco, game 1. And then game 2 is going to be Luzardo versus Walker. Okay. Very interesting. Gotcha. And then Atlanta, Washington. I can't believe, guys, the Mets magic number is 8, by the way. And key thing about the Mets, guys, if the Mets just win 1 game in Atlanta, when we eventually get to that Atlanta Braves series, they get the tiebreaker. So even if the Braves are in a situation where they're tied with the Mets when all things are said and done, the Mets will win the division because of the tiebreaker. So that's going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah, I mean, it really isn't a day off for me, though, because I'm going to be in NY for the day. I'm going to the Rangers-Islanders preseason game. So it will be a day off from covering. So I guess that's true, even though I could definitely see myself yelling at the Mets game, not Mets game, the Ranger game tomorrow. But yeah, it will be a day off for me. That's why I plan the trip. I'm going to enjoy it. But guys, I think that's going to wrap up the show. I do apologize. I would have loved to take callers or have the show go longer, but with me still probably doing my podcast tonight, not 100%, but I'm going to absolutely try to. I am going to have to wrap things up here. So I want to thank everyone so much for watching. Mets win a big one. 13-4 is your final, over that being in the Oakland A's. They look to secure another series win and a 2-game set starting Tuesday against the Miami Marlins. We'll see how they do then. But until then, guys, have a great rest of your night, day, evening. Whenever you watch this, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button for your boy. Greatly appreciate more great content coming out throughout the channel as always. This is the final stretch, guys. We only have like a week plus left of baseball games before playoffs begin. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a whirlwind, and I cannot wait to be covering it all with you lovely Mets fans. So thank you guys all so much for the continued support. I love you guys all to death. Apologies again for the shorter show today. We'll have longer ones, of course, as we get down the stretch into the Atlanta series and then eventually postseason. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later, folks. Look out for the podcast, assuming that we still come out with it early tomorrow on the YouTube channel, everywhere you get your audio podcast. I Bleav in Queens. But have a great night, folks. And as always, let's go Mets. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.